Hold on, Tommy, before we start, last time we had Kortas on, we played that again. So just for fun, can we play that one more time?
I do like your intro.
Thank you.
Good intro. It's a good song.
We try to have fun. Welcome to LinkedIn Loaded. It's not Friday. It is Monday, but there was news yesterday that for some reason people were texting me, calling me, and then I happened to be here, actually, right next to you.
Shocker.
As this was going down. And we had a lot of conversations, a lot of people. And then I was just with Casa on Thursday, Friday. Huge news, NEXA with acquiring UMortgage. Big deal, obviously, in the broker space. Something that if you talk to somebody even 6 months ago, they would have said, there's no way this would ever happen. So, Casa, I was with you Friday when you had the conversation. I'd love to start with you. How'd it go with the team members at UMortgage? I see a lot of excitement from the team members, see a lot of love from the Nexans as well right now. But how was that combo? How difficult was that you to get ready to have that conversation and go straight forward with that?
It's gone exceptionally well. I think for our team, they, when they look at all the value and look at what they're gaining, it's such a win across the board for our loan originators. We can obviously spend some time getting into Evo Lend and just all of the different things, NEXA 100, all the different things that NEXA has to offer. But that was the easy part, is kind of getting into all those things and then being like, wow, this is a huge win, huge opportunity for us to take our businesses to the next level. I think ultimately, the hard part's always like the logistics and some of the coordination, but we're working through that. And Mike's got an excellent team on his side that's making sure that, our team's set up for success. So conversations went well. Team is super excited. I think, the last 24 hours has been really exciting for everybody.
So, look, I want to rip the first one off here. It's not like you guys were giving each other friendship bracelets over the last couple of years and high-fiving and kumbayas. We got Facebook, we got Instagram, LinkedIn. I'm sure people have snapshots because that's the world today. So how did that conversation even come about? I'll kind of go between the two of you there where it's like we got to look behind the past and start moving towards the future. Where did that even start? Who approached who? We would love to know.
I personally, I'm going to have to probably turn it to Anthony because I just know it. Todd Bitter had a lot to do with it. Todd Bitter got the conversation started, but I'm not 100% on who reached out first, Anthony or Todd, or was it through some people, that kind of thing. So Todd mentioned this to me back in January. He said, "What if?" And I was like, "You lost your mind." I'm like, listen, Todd, you're doing some great things. You're talking. You got a great influence on a lot of mortgage brokers out there. Focus on that. We don't want to. It's not about UMortgage. Let's go to the real thing, not the pipe dreams. and then he comes to me and goes, "Mike, I think we could." And so, Anthony, you'll have to say how that detail went because I wasn't on those initial conversations. He just got Anthony and I to talk.
Yeah, I think that's what Todd does. Like Todd's a super connector. Obviously, Todd and I have a very deep relationship going back, 8-9 years now, and he's got a very close relationship with Mike. So he brought it up to me, and I kind of punted originally, and I was like, well, let's get together in person. Like, this is something that's going to require us to, get together in person. And Todd brokered, Mike coming to Philly for a day. And that was kind of like the thing. It was like, hey, it was going to be a day, and that turned into 3 days. And really, Mike and I pretty much focused on our relationship for the majority of the first half of that time together. We took honestly like a 9-mile walk around Philadelphia. We were walking and talking and we kind of got down a long path. But, after a while, we just started talking about what would look like it for our businesses to come together. And, I think what was very clear to me is like once the relationship piece was out of the way and Mike and I were in a great place, the business conversation was very easy. We share the same vision. Mike's all in on the broker channel. I'm all in on the broker channel. We see the big picture. And, as he started telling me about the things that he was building, I was like, man, that's what we want to build. And there was a lot of that. There was a lot of like, this is what we're doing here. This is what we're doing there. I was just like, man, why reinvent the wheel? Like Mike, like let's do this together. And the conversation evolved pretty quickly from there.
That's awesome. For those, we have a massive amount of viewers right now. I can just see Facebook, but LinkedIn as well. So look, we also know there's people out there that don't like this situation. We know there's people out there that are angry for one reason or another. So here's what I'm going to tell you. If you're able to respectfully articulate yourself inside of the comments and ask a question in a respectful manner, please know we are going to ask. There's nothing off the limits here. Both these guys said whatever people want to ask. Yes, we're going to ask about some of the big picture stuff. So Frazier, I'd like to pass it over to you. And then Kortas, I got some questions about your involvement of if this would even have been a conversation you'd be willing to have a couple of years back prior to this.
Oh, that would be interesting.
Yeah. So Frazier, away.
Yeah, and to John's point, look, I know some people just have the mortgage Tourette syndrome, so they're not going to be able to help themselves. So we just got to account for that. I saw plenty of that in my DMs yesterday,
I used to have that syndrome myself.
Well, hey, we all do, and that's what I said. I actually, because there's a lot of posts, and one thing is when you look at leadership, and that's what I posted today on LinkedIn after seeing some posts that were somewhat critical about the past. Right? Is that we're all human, but I think the one thing that this industry suffers from is that we like to pretend like there's this there's everyone's an angel, or some people are angels. It's business, right? This is the mortgage industry. There are no angels in this room, right? And at the end of the day, is as leaders, you got to do what's best for your people, right? You got to do what's best for your mission and your vision, because both of you have that. And what I'm excited about is that and I've told a story before, but the only reason I'm in the wholesale industry at all is because of Anthony, and from going back way back when for my retail days. And one of the things that drew me is people like Mike and what he built with NEXA. And there's that old quote. I think it's a Steve Jobs quote. It's better to be a pirate than join the Navy. And so that's what drew me to all of this stuff. And that's what I see in you guys, is that I also see that there's more of a when you combine both of what you guys do as far as mission and vision, is really setting up a platform where all independent brokers can be a part of it. All independent brokers can live up to what, really what was started, 8-9 years ago with the movement of AIM and everything else. And so how do you guys look at, I mean, it's one thing to say like, yeah, we're excited to do this and that, but how do you guys look at the bigger picture because obviously both of you have, huge influences in the industry. So what you do and what people look at, with what you're building is like, how do you kind of like bring that together so that, it's not just us, it's like we are on a bigger mission for the community. And obviously with the acquisitions and things that Mike has done with Evolin and all these other things that are there for brokers to win long-term.
Yeah, I'll just go first, and I'll just say like that's the entire antithesis of Mike and I's conversations, is like the bigger picture of like we're coming together, and we kind of said like this is bigger than us. This is about the whole broker channel. And I think like the thing that really stood out to me as I went through this process is like there's a pretty big barrier to entry to go from like a retail loan officer to the broker channel. Like, yeah, you can start a broker shop, but there's so many hats you wear. There's so much that goes into it. And what Mike has created, what we were working on creating, is lowering that barrier to entry. Mike has definitely created like the enterprise version of like, hey, if you want to start a broker shop, why wouldn't you just do that at NEXA? So for me, I kind of have gone into this with the mindset of like, how do we lower the barrier to entry? How do we give like a level playing field against retail? And once Evolin was in the picture, I think that kind of like was the last shoe to drop for me personally. It was like, man, like, servicing has been always like an exclusive to retail situation. Now it's not. And that's a huge, huge deal. So, I mean, Mike, what are your thoughts?
No, the same exact thing. I mean, I'm getting very, very good reception about this. And it's interesting because you're talking about two organizations who were taught for the last 5 years to not like each other. And then within a week, all of a sudden, no, we like them now, right? And now Anthony and I have been talking for, a little bit of time. It's not like it's only landed on our desk a week ago. But so they're kind of getting a little shock at this point. But you can tell that the leadership and the culture within each organization is there, because there's like within NEXA, there's just yeah, let's grow together. Let's praise, because the companies are relatively aligned. You just had two leaders who were fighting back in the day, and people are going to follow their leaders, and that's all that was. And so the loan officers seem to be our loan officers seem to be loving it. I've been hearing great reception from your leaders and your teams as well. Now, there's always, the angry Andys out there who are convinced that Anthony and I will be drug away in shackles, slammed our heads against the paddy wagon as we get thrown into Leavenworth for the rest of our lives. And by all means, keep that rent coming. I appreciate that, but even like Ramon Walker, who doesn't often have anything good to say about us, he had a decent little write up, right? A responsible write up that, that had a lot of truths, a few misconceptions, but that's okay. So large and wide, I'm seeing great acceptance of this. So
I have a question for you on that, Kortas. So look, I had someone reach out to me and they said, they've had verbal altercations before. They've had a lot of just almost altercations in general before. How now are you able to overcome it? How are you able to look past that? Where does your mind go when it's like, okay, forget all of this. I'm ready for here and now in the future.
Look, so some of that stuff had its place in a day. The physical altercations are irresponsible. Don't get me wrong. The verbal altercations are one thing, but I mean, time can heal anything at the end of the day, right? And this isn't something that Anthony and I talked years ago one time. We were kind of not in a great space, but it was flown out there back then. Like, well, what if we did this together? And it obviously didn't go anywhere, but it was to put out there at a flyer at one point. And so it's not like things like this don't get said in the past, but obviously things went south with Anthony and I. But everything, like I said, time heals all wounds at the end of the day. And at the end of the day, when you actually get the two of us to sit down, just the two of us, like that walk in Philadelphia, downtown Philadelphia, we need to go and go back to that coffee shop again once a year, coffee shop, and just sit there, because Anthony and I got into some really deep personal stuff with each other, right? Some things that you don't just talk to people about, some things that really, really hurt you in your soul, right? And we realized that both of us are very similar, and I think you used the word, we both had a tendency to self-sabotage for the same things. So we both went through a rough childhood, rough life, right? But we've both done great things in business and used these things to catapult us to greatness. But we're not different people, right? We just happen to be the two people that clash together. At the time in my life, at least, somebody always had to be the enemy. I had to have an enemy, right? And today I'm like, life is too short. I'm older now. Went through obviously some things of my own. Both of it. He grew up before I did, so kudos to he went to 2.0 before I did. So kudos to Anthony. But that walk down Philadelphia, that was the second day. So we put another, 7 or 8 miles on the shoes that day. But
I'll just add on to that. Like, I think the ego is a big part of this. Is like Mike and I, we put the ego aside to have these conversations. And I think ego gets in the way of a lot of good things. Like, I think that's one of the things that people that attack us about doing this is they have an ego. They can't even comprehend putting their ego aside to think about a bigger picture and a bigger vision. And to be honest with you, the 2023 version of me could never have made this deal because my ego was way too big. But I think when Mike and I came together, we really talked about like what is the model that's ultimately going to be best for the loan originator and what's going to win long term. And it was very clear to both of us that we have a much better and faster path of getting there together than separately. So, to me, I'm looking forward to this opportunity. And I think our people are looking forward to this opportunity. And so far, from what I've seen from the NEXA Nation, they've welcomed us with very open arms. So we're excited.
Yeah, and I'll just touch on the path to getting there together. It is so much easier to do this with partners, right? I mean, to do this to get what we're all trying to get to alone, to take on, a lot of the IMB world, the retail space that Anthony and I both planted our flags into our careers on. It's a big task at the end of the day. And when you have, half the world that like Anthony, maybe 25% of the world like me, but it's just,
you're being generous.
Right?
No, I'm just kidding.
It's just easier when relationships matter, right? And the connections and relationships that he has compared to the connection and relationships that we have, they just matter for a common goal. When we both had the exact same common goal, it was no different. It was just get the egos out of the way, right? And then it became simple. Look, if you can just sit down with anybody, for a day and have a conversation with them, go on a 9-mile walk together. I don't care who it is, you can find something likable about them, right? Like, Andy, come on, let's go for a walk, brother. All right. So.
Oh, God.
And that's the interesting thing is, like, I think one of the bad things that happened through 2020 and 2021 is people just got locked into these social media echo chambers. And it's easier to get into these little echo chambers. And it's not just about the mortgage industry. This goes on in society as a whole, where people just like lock into a view. They shut their ears down. They stop listening to anything logical, or they are not open-minded to any discussion. And I think right now for us, like Mike and I coming together, like if you can't see that these are two people that were on opposite sides of arguments and the spectrum, and we're completely closed-minded to each other's ideas just a couple of years ago, and we've been able to come together, like, believe me when I tell you, you can come together with anybody after that point. So I agree with everything Mike said. I think it's all about like bringing down those walls.
So you took him on a walk and you took me rucking. Thank you so much. Frazier, I know you had something here. So this is some of the big picture stuff, Casa. Probably a little uncomfortable from this side. But Frazier, if you don't mind ripping that Band-Aid off, I know we have some questions early on in UMortgage when we were having a lot of conversations, seeing you guys post. There was a lot of things going into it. Frazier, would love for you to touch on that.
Yeah, and obviously, just when anything like happens, as we were joking before we got on here, I asked Anthony how long his battery life is lasting on his phone since the announcement. I would imagine all of us, have to have it permanently plugged in. But one message that I saw up in comments, and again, all of this is just snarky stuff, but at the end of the day, it's a question. And so the biggest question that I saw, and was actually DM'd me a couple times is, what about the U shares, right? How does that work out? What does that look like for the people that invested in the beginning?
Yeah, I think the the structure of the entire deal is all earn out based. So, basically, all shareholders are going to receive a piece of that earn out, whether they're, and this is the best part, is whether they're with UMortgage today or not. If you're a shareholder, you're a shareholder, just like if you were a shareholder of a publicly traded company. It's a 4 to 5 year deal. We're going to send out some communications to all shareholders here in the next couple of weeks that outline the entire premise of the deal and what the structure looks like. But our expectation is that shareholder payouts will start in 2028. Obviously, this will be our first year of full production here going into 2027. And then, we plan on paying out those shareholder distributions on a quarterly basis from that point forward. And it's really straightforward. Whatever your proportionate ownership percentages, you're going to get that proportionate piece. So for every dollar that comes in, I own 48% of the company, so I get 48 cents. For every shareholder out there, they're going to get that remaining 52% or 52 cents on the dollar broken out to them. So that's the way it works. And the other piece of it, and I think is a huge piece of it, is like, it's all like Mike and I put this deal together with one focus: align outcomes with behavior. Like that's the best incentive structure in the world. It's like, if your behavior matches the outcomes you're going for, great things happen. So this is a fully performance-based deal. What does that mean? That means that my job on the other side of this is to grow the UMortgage network and to grow the NEXA business. And if I do that, then our shareholders get a bigger pie. The bigger we grow it, the bigger the pie is that shareholder group gets. So if I'm a shareholder, you should be rooting like a raving lunatic for NEXA and for me, because the more we grow this thing, the more you're going to get a return on your investment. So All of those details are going to come in the coming weeks to all the shareholders. Obviously, we're super excited about it, and I'm the biggest shareholder, so to me, I'm fully vested in making sure we have the biggest return possible. I want Mike to write the biggest check humanly possible over the next 4 to 5 years. So we're in this together, guys. And by the way, any of you shareholders that are not with UMortgage, give me a call or give Mike a call. We'd
I've been
love to
talking
talk
to
to
him
you
already
back.
too. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And then
Yeah, I
you,
talked to a couple of the shareholders. It was really important. The first thing that Anthony and I sat down and talked about. So any of the shareholders, any of the people online talking, right? Look, guys, I was kind of the poster child of kind of digging into the original UMortgage share model. So for me to come out and not make sure that the shareholders are taken care of would be really naive on my part as well. But it was Anthony's sole focus. How do we make sure that these guys get a return, right, and a profit, and a return on their investment? And I am utterly convinced that yes, they're going to get their shares. They're going to get a return. The earnout on this thing over the period of time, and the escalations on it are great. It's going to, and then of course anybody who does come to NEXA on top of that gets all the NEXA offers with the rev share models and the massive long-term wealth building that they can do here. So I'm really excited about the show. I've been talking to a couple of the shareholders that are not with UMortgage anymore, and because there's rumors online that the people who are not with you currently are going to have to get on the backside. That's not true at all.
Not true
That's
at all.
not true at all. And Anthony I even asked about that because I wanted people to come to NEXA first. Yeah. Don't get me wrong, but he's like, no, that they're going to get paid out evenly, right? And so that's the one where Anthony steps said no, right? Where I was like, well, being a little bit selfish, for the growth of the organization, because I want some of those shareholders to reconsider. You get no additional benefit other than what NEXA offers if you did come, but I wanted them to reconsider and think about, well, look at the NEXA platform compared to where you went to or what you're currently doing. Because I think it would be a better option for you too. And if Anthony and I can come together, and some of these guys, despised me back then. And so now they're talking. And they get to come back into that UMortgage production machine and increase the payout for all the shareholders. So it's a rising tide, rise all ships. And it's all the growth that Anthony and the entire UMortgage team can now do. Also, all the, the recruiting and the downline and everything, it all counts. It all counts toward it. And I was able to take NEXA to billions of dollars of production within a few years without what we have today. Right. And so now with what we have today and with Anthony and all his leaders' connections, it's an exciting prospect to look and realize what these guys are going to be, how many billions and billions of dollars these guys are going to be able to fund over the next few years. And then to get those bonus years that they have on their agreement with us, that it's extremely exciting. And I'm like, I look at this thing and I'm like, oh, we're going to way more than pay for the value of this thing over time.
Yeah. And I'll add on that.
Everybody benefits. It's a production-based thing. So I'm like, I looked at the deal and I'm like, yeah, it's going to end up being a lot, but but it makes sense. And so now it's, and Anthony and I were excited because we wanted to structure this and I'm going to be talking to this blue in the face. Maybe this is a shameless plug, but other brokers, I mean, talk to us. If you got a better connection with Anthony, if you got a better connection with me, talk to one of us and let us explain to you how we did this to make everybody in both organizations win dramatically. So, but it's a phenomenal structure. So
yeah, and I think that's one of the most exciting things for me is like when Mike and I went through this. First of all, I just want to say one of my initial conversations with Jerry Farr, who's the president of NEXA, who's a tremendous leader, and Mike was like, "Hey guys, I just want to be clear. I don't want to be a part of the leadership team. I want to come in and be an executive partner, just like Mike is hopefully going to be one day." And we're just going to focus on growing the business. Like I am, being a CEO is a hard job, guys. Like it is to run a big company. It is so hard. I can't even imagine what Mike's days like. He's got 4,000 people to be responsible for. I only have a couple hundred. But it's stressful. It's really, you're living with anxiety all the time. Everything's on your shoulders. So for me, I'm going over there with the goal to grow our people, support their growth. And one of the things Mike and I talked about that I'll be focusing on is, mergers and acquisitions and broker roll-ups. Like that's a big part of where I'm going to be spending my time. Is, if a $2 billion a year broker shop looks at this and says, man, we're going to make more money and be more efficient, and our people are going to make more money, and this is a win across the board for us to be on the NEXA platform, then if you're any company below $2 billion, believe me when I tell you, there's no way that you shouldn't be having these conversations. So that's where I'm going to be spending my time, which is super exciting. I always tell this to everybody, and, Angry Andy can say whatever he wants. Like, I've been a broker since 2003. Like, I never left the channel. When the financial crisis happened and everybody fled, like, I stayed. And like, to me, it's in my DNA. I love talking to brokers. I love talking shop with them. And this is the most exciting thing I'll be ever. So in my whole career, this is the most exciting thing I'm looking forward to talking to them about. So the things that we can do from an acquisition and roll up perspective, like we're doing with UMortgage, is something that we're going to be able to potentially do with a lot of people. And I'm excited about that. I'm excited the trust that Mike has given me to, make that contribution to NEXA going forward.
Let me talk about real quick.
Oh, go for it, Mike.
Titles, right? I'll drop a little bit of early news here. I'm an executive partner at NEXA too, right? The executive partner title is something that is earned. Anthony. He's both in the same category just a few months ago. Let's kidding. Anthony has clearly earned that executive partner title on how it works over at NEXA. We'd love to talk to anybody about it. Anybody can come into NEXA. Any broker owner can come into NEXA and be an executive partner. But look, I'll drop a little bit of news. Jared Farr will be our CEO next month. I will not have a title.
Is that
my title?
Is that NEXA news here live?
I'm just saying that's.
Did we just break something?
Yeah, that's crazy.
You're just going to gloss over that?
Is that I will be an executive. That's my title, executive partner, the same as Anthony's, the same as Jason DuPont's, right? Look, we got your chair on order, Anthony. Right? Coming up, we got my chair here. We got Mike Neal's chair over here that Jonathon.
Thanks for letting me sit there, Mike.
And so I see Jason DuPont's chair across the way, but these are the people who drive the mass production of the company. And the executive part, you can't get a higher title at NEXA than executive. CEO is not a higher title than executive partner in NEXA, because the executive partners are who advise the entire C-suite. And they're in the leadership meetings. They also, should anything happen to me, that's who they're going to be advising my family to what happens next. This doesn't get handed over to one of my kids or something. That's not how this thing works, right? This thing is built to last by the executive partners who built this thing. And they have more to lose than anybody because of the wealth that they're creating for themselves and their families through the executive partner program. But so I have the same exact title, is my point, is what I want to make. And Anthony and I are going to be doing the same thing with the same focus and everything. But also I want to talk about production, right? And what UMortgage actually bring. A massive thing that they get to bring to the table at NEXA, and all of our greatness are not as good at as what they're at. And that is, unit volume per loan officer.
Yeah.
They are far nor double, maybe even triple, right? Well over double our per unit per loan officer volume counts, right? The things that they do for the mentoring and the coaching and how they do that with their branches and their individual loan officers is incredible. So I'm really excited for the current NEXA loan officers, the benefits that they're going to be able to get involved in some of those things, to get involved in some of those coaching programs, because they got amongst the highest per unit loan officer count in the business right now, with as tough as the business is supposed to be, right? I'm really excited about what they bring to the table in that. And Anthony and I's first conversation on the phone, when we before I met him in Philadelphia, we had about an hour-long conversation on the phone. And that was one thing he really hit home in, and I hung up that phone just wanting more of that. So I'm really excited for what they bring to the table, just for the Nexans. The Nexans on. And I always tell Nexans, like, the more volume we get, the more we can do, right? We've had 13 compensation changes in the last 8 years for the better. We've never made one worse, right? Now, the Nexus 100 thing really
Change things up.
Kind of push it a
little pressure.
But we figured out how to pay more than 100%, right? And so we're excited because with more volume coming on, we can do more things. We can make it even better for every single loan officer. This is going to be great for the loan officers of both organizations and those into the future. So because we're trailblazing it now, Anthony and I are going to trailblaze this thing into the future for the loan officers that are not with us yet, the loan officers who don't have their NMLS transferred over yet, who don't even know that they're going to, but we're doing it for them too, and we're going to make the entire wholesale sector better for everybody.
Big time.
So we had a couple of questions. One is it's a couple. I'll just give it to you guys. But the first is, so is the UMortgage brand, is that going to be some like a network division under NEXA, or is that going away completely and it's all just going to be NEXA? That was the first question.
Yeah, so we'll remain UMortgage for the time being. We're going to give our people the same opportunity that NEXA provides their people today, which is the ability to have their own brand as well.
Yep.
So any of our people that want to continue to be under the UMortgage brand, we're going to continue to roll as UMortgage. But like, for example, Tyler and his group is NXT Mortgage powered by UMortgage. They're just going to be NXT Mortgage going forward. So we're all about the same exact thing as Mike. Like you want to build your brand, we'll support you. You want to be under the UMortgage brand, great, we'll support you. If you want to be under the NEXA brand, also we'll support you. So optionality is a big part of the NEXA ethos, and we're excited to offer that to all of them.
And then the other one was, you guys have been I know because Jimmy's been killing me about it, but like you guys have been talking about Tempo, right? I've seen post after post about Tempo and the tech that you guys built. Is that going to be integrated into the NEXA platform?
Yeah, I mean that's a big part of the conversations Mike, Jason, and I have ahead of us. Is obviously Bevry is something that hasn't come up yet. That's a really big part of the future of NEXA's platform and also the industry at large. Yep. So we're working through how we either bring Tempo into the Bevry platform or we keep it independent. But the goal will be to make that available to all Nexans. That's a key part of how we got our fundings per loan officer to where it's at today, is that sales ecosystem. So I'm very excited of working with Mike and Jason on how we make that happen.
Yeah, that system, I got to say, it's impressive to be able to track a loan officer's activities, right? It's that gamification that we all learned back in the, depending on your age group. Yeah. I was the beginning of the gamers, man. So, so we all learned how to do this, and everybody from my age and lower grew up in that gamified world where we get that euphoria from a win like that. And so what he's built out in that system was very impressive in the ability to do post closing things and follow ups, reminder systems. On the birthday and the anniversaries is outstanding, and every loan officer needs that. So we're really excited to integrate that. I will say it's interesting though, because I haven't seen all those posts, Frazier. I haven't been able to see all those posts about all the things that they're doing, because Anthony and I just became friends on social media about 24 hours ago, maybe.
We made a pact. So when we started talking, we're like, hey, we're going to keep each other blocked. So nobody smells or sniffs around with what's going on. So we literally just unblocked each other on Friday. That's so rich.
Yeah. So having been a part of a few M&A myself, there's not always like 100% buy-in, right? So when you talk to the team, did you get any pushback from some of your originators, and how are you handling that with those that maybe have some concerns about the transition?
I think, we're still in that process. I mean, so far, here's what I can say is, like, one of the powerful things about our company is we have a focused on a leadership group, and they're incredible. We have really incredible leaders here.
Yep.
So that's the first layer, is like, hey, these are people that are servant leaders that focus so much on their teams. So getting their buy-in was number one. Of course, big change is going to require lots of questions, lots of concerns. So we went through that with that group of people. And on the other side of it, once they were able to wrap their heads around the platform, NEXA 100, how it all works, we got to a point where we're like, hey, this is like, I mean, to be honest with you, one of the things that came through this process that made me feel like kind of shitty was like, man, is anybody not going to be on board? Like, come on, guys. Is anybody? What the hell are we doing here? Like, I was expecting some resistance, but and either I'm really good at selling the NEXA platform, which maybe that's going to serve me really well going forward. But man, like, I was just like, wait, is anybody going to be like, no, we're not doing this? And that hasn't been the case. Everybody's been like, let's go. So it's made me second guess myself about a lot of things, but outside of that, I would say it's a pretty unanimous group of people. And I think that the number one thing that everybody can, I'll just put out there is, for me, listen, people have tried to reach out to us about acquiring our company, over the years. And to me, the big thing here is like, this is not about an acquisition. This is about alignment. Like Mike and I care about the broker channel. Like, that's something we take a lot of pride in. And building the best broker platform was really critical for us. So, like, for a lot of our people, at the end of the day, it's broker, non-delegated, with servicing and better comp structure. Like that's, like, guys, that's really not that hard to sell, right? Like, that's a pretty easy thing for me to sell. If I was going to them and saying, hey, you got a worse comp plan, worse platform, less resources, worse pricing, then it would be a different story. But at their scale, they're just dominating at a whole nother level. We are going to be dominating at a whole nother level.
Yeah.
And
And do you think? Oh, go ahead.
There too.
Yeah, I was going to say, do you think this is going to spur some consolidation to try to compete with what you guys are building?
I think so. I think it's going to start with us. I mean, we're going to be leading on consolidation, and that's going to be a huge part of where Mike and I spend our time going forward. Like, we're ready to go. Like, this is going to be a big part of our attention. But I do think, like, at this point, like, you're already seeing it in the retail world, is like,
Yep.
It doesn't pay to be a small player. Whether it's comp, whether it's pricing, whether it's efficiency of technology. You need scale to compete. This happened in the real estate world first with, KW and Compass and EXP, and Mike's leading 100% of the way here with NEXA doing that here in the broker space.
Well, I'll just, on the consolidation piece of it, it's already in play. I mean, just since yesterday, there's been a lot of talk about it, with new conversations going on, just from it getting leaked out and us releasing a little bit early. Just from that alone, and I can tell you right now, when I get back to my phone, I'm going to have at least 50 plus text messages just during the time of this interview that I had to respond to. A lot of those are like opportunities, and people are reaching out and saying, "Hey, what about us?" And if there's other consolidation in the wholesale space, I'm like, okay, to who and for what? Right? Where are you? Like, brokers already do an outstanding job of providing a better platform to begin with. So where are you going to consolidate with that makes it better than your current platform? I mean, help me out with another lender like us in the wholesale space. Do they provide servicing? Are they giving you 100%? Are they sharing the purchase advice? Do they have all the lenders that we have set up? Nobody can beat our rates. They can match our rate. Who? So where are you going to join? And then you can keep your brand, you can keep your DBA. You have options at everything that you have here. So give us a call, give Anthony a call, give me a call, whoever you have the better relationship with. We are very much interested in making this better for their loan officers and our loan officers, because the bigger that any of us can get, the more that we can do, the more that we can offer them and provide everything to them even more. There's so many things that I want to do. I just need a little bit more I need more volume in order to do those things. So I'm really excited about the future of what's going on. And I don't know. I mean, you could call one of the other bigs and potentially do it, but is it better, or are you just making a lateral move at that point? You know what I mean? So I don't see broker owners wanting to make a lateral move.
Are you guys? Well, here's the thing. So number one,
Jonathan, real quick, just add on that, because that's a big part of the decision. Like, big part of the decision for us was Mike is the founder owner. So, like, to me, it's like, we're at the end of the day, we're betting on Mike. Like, that's what these decisions come down to, is you're betting on the leader of the company. And it was really important to me that this is an independent company, that Mike is the decision maker, because we are so aligned on the vision. He's not, he doesn't have private equity. He doesn't have, a board that's controlling his decision making. So for me, it's like that was a big deal. And then the last piece that was a huge deal for me was like he's investing back in the company at every turn. Like he could easily be not buying a servicing company and putting that cash in his bank account. But to make the investments that he's making, those are all investments that benefit the loan originator, and that pays off over time.
No, and one of the things I had to ask was for on the retail side of it now, with you guys coming together here. I know there's also been a lot of originators from the retail space that have reached out. I mean, just me being here yesterday, driving into Montana, there was a lot of conversations. Do you feel like a lot of retail seeing this as well is looking, going, what's going on, what's happening here? There's more opportunity than we thought.
Oh yeah, we have quite a few retail loan officers reaching out already, in a lot of different spaces. And look, NEXA has the ability to, if you took a check, we can cash out of that. We can get you out of that situation, right? And put you back into a better position for you, your family, and your consumers. So if you took a check, call us, talk to us. We can get you out of that check. So for the big producers, and then of course all the other producers are looking for a better place, right? And I always tell people that when they're looking, well, I'm looking at NEXA and I'm looking at Fairway and I'm looking at Cross Country. I'm like, well, wait a minute, you're already at Guild. Why would you trade a bank for a bank? What are you gonna get to? You're gonna be happy
better in pricing, yeah.
Right? You're gonna be happy that they're still continuing to hide the margin and not sharing the purchase advice with you and jacking up limited product line. I mean, you're just going to find out whatever you're not happy with today, you're going to find out something different that you're not happy with is all.
Yeah.
That's all you're going to find out. I says, just go somewhere that fixes the whole thing. Stop trading the bank for a bank constantly, and make the move over to a platform. I mean, go wholesale. Call one of the other bigs. It's better than trading a bank for a bank.
100%.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, the other bigs, Edge, Barrett, C2, they're great organizations. They have great platforms and cultures as well. But call us, find out, where it's better. Take a full depth look at this. So I see these people looking at the banks for banks, and I'm like, stop with the craziness. You're not gonna, you traded 2 banks in the last 3 years. Why are you gonna do it again? Try a real change. If you're gonna make a change, try a real one.
Well, with on that note, with the retail side, so they've come in pretty aggressively to top producers, and look, we all know why, right? They want the past client database. They'll rework it. They'll win the refi. I come from that world, y'all. I'm telling you right now, you do not want your past client talking to me. You don't want a 22-year-old that didn't make any money, had nothing, calling your past client. All they got to do is write that loan, and they get paid if it gets conditionally approved. So that's what a lot of these retail, banks were doing, because they also know, generally speaking, in the broker space, we don't do a good job staying in front of the refinance. So for those retail that were writing those big checks, Casa, obviously you dealt with a few big picture situations on the mortgage side of things. What do you have to say to them now with these opportunities and the fact that, hey, there's a lot of money now entering the broker space. There's a lot more opportunity. What would you say to them now with the padded margins, the refi opportunities, the things that they could be missing out on by continuing to remain in the retail space?
Yeah, I think. I mean, I've had a lot of conversations with guys that have left here that have made that decision, and we're talking to a lot of them about coming back to join us at NEXA. So I think the conversations are pretty straightforward. Is like the limitations that some people left us for was because we didn't have the scale, we didn't have servicing, we didn't have some of the things that NEXA does. So I think right now it's like you're going to get all the bells and whistles that you would get in a retail platform in the NEXA platform. Like that's the benefit of scale. You wouldn't have got it at UMortgage because we have limitations. We're only a $2 billion a year company. And that's why we lost some really great people to retail. But to me, this is a different game. So my guidance to them would be like, have the conversation and let's compare notes on the things that made you go retail. And let's see if we've leveled the playing field here going forward.
That's awesome.
And I could say, as someone that's been not willingly, but just someone that's been helping people try to find a new home. You guys would be surprised about the retail teams out there that are looking to move to wholesale. And it simply comes down to one thing: is that when you're entrepreneurial and you really have the drive to grow something, you're just not going to be able to do that on the retail. And this is someone that's majority on the retail side than on the broker side. And you're just not going to be able to do that. And that's what I love seeing entrepreneurs in this business plugging in the platforms that they're able to truly build something, a brand. And you mentioned Tyler and NXT, right? You're able to truly build a solid brand for yourself. And so I think that's one of the biggest advantages that Wholesale has, is that we're going to attract entrepreneurs that have big visions, big dreams, that want to be unreasonable, right? So that they could change, because that's the only way that anything's going to change, is by being unreasonable. And I think that's the mission and vision that I see for the future for all of us.
And just to talk about those big producers in retail and what they're really looking for, they actually despise the one thing that we brag about all the time: multiple lenders, multiple options. They don't like that. They want simplicity. And I get it. When you're pushing $200 to $500 million a month and more, you want simplicity, right? You got to have the same system, same everything. You got to know it's all going to go through. So like we tell our loan officers, stop selling them on the 308 investors that we have. Start selling them on to one or two that are really good at what they do. But here, whereas if you're in retail and you get a loan that you can't do, that you didn't want to do anyway, maybe you didn't care, but at least here you can refer it to somebody who does want it and make money on it still, and just focus on your simplicity, your one or two investors, and that's it, if that's what you want to do. Because I've always said it for years, people call me Ishbia Light or whatever the hell they want to call me, but if I'm going to work for one retail lender, it's going to be UWM. They're god dang efficient at what they do. They're fast. They're easy. They're simple. You can get it done. You know what to expect on every single deal. Is it always the best price? No. Is it something they get aggressive at times? Yes, but it's a simplistic system. Do they have every product? No. Right. I mean, Todd Bitter was the poster child of this. One simple loan, one simple system, was doing over 40 units a month. Right. So you can do those kind of things in this environment. Just refer out to all the other ones. We have an entire network, a referral platform here at NEXA, where you can just let that deal go, and you still get 25% of the entire revenues that come in off it. And so it's the best of all worlds. We tell the big retail producers, don't focus and worry about all the investors. Just focus and worry about one, maybe two, and that's it. And then refer the rest out.
By the way, my ADD won't let this go. Obviously, you dropped some big news not long ago, so I won't do it on this call because this is for this specifically. But when you do launch, what you said about you and CEO, you mind doing it on here, linked and loaded with Frazier and I?
Yeah.
All right, Frazier, I had to ask. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Well, hey, no.
Out there.
Yeah, you always got to ask. And one thing I want to just say, I don't think retail understands. Because we always talk, and I was and obviously someone that did that. It's like, oh, you lose control. You won't be able to control your file. You won't be able to do this. But this is one thing that I say now, is that being on both sides, is that when you're in retail, right, you have zero, and I mean zero, influence over the investor, right? The investor doesn't care who you are as the individual loan officer. On the wholesale side, you have power with the individual we don't call them investors, but with our lenders, right? And you just don't have that on retail. So every single one of you has power. You're producing, you're bringing volume, you have extreme power and influence that you just don't have on the retail side. And then whenever you do plug in to whatever platform that happens to be, that just makes it even more. And so that's one thing. If you're in retail, and guys, look, I said all the things to stop my loan officers from even considering the broker channel. And I'll tell you right now, being on this side, none of that is accurate. And in fact, I would say you get more control and you get more influence than you do on the retail side. Look,
I was in retail. Like, I've been in the business since 1998. Now, Anthony stayed with the wholesale, but I did go to retail. Right. So you have in my point, you got the best of two worlds in this environment, right? Somebody who didn't abandon the wholesale, somebody who did abandon wholesale. But when I went retail, I realized that I'm like, this is not as good. And so I'm so passionate about the broker community because of my time there. And when I came back over, and when we opened up NEXA, I tripled my volume in 90 days outside of the retail model. And I only did it with a few investors. That's all we had when we first opened up, because it was that much better at everything. And everything that the leadership over there in retail is telling them is a lie, and they have to lie. There's only a few reasons that you don't come to a NEXA or to the wholesale side. One is fear. It's a big one. And they put fear into their people. They're leading them with fear, which is a shitty leadership style, in my opinion. because you have to give them fear because it's simply not better. It's not. There's no way that it's a better platform whatsoever. So, and math doesn't lie. Look at the math, right? Look at the product counts. Look at anything that you can think of. It's never going to be better under any category that you want to categorize, right? You want simplicity. That's the only thing that they quote is simply they want one or two. Choose one or two lenders. That's your choice, right? Nothing is ever better in the retail environment. And so I'm passionate about the wholesale space and the ability to maintain brokers. And we'll talk about EVO because people say, well, NEXA is turning into retail. We are working hand in hand with our wholesale lenders to offer the servicing through them
EVO, right?
to the loan officers through the EVO Lend platform. So they're involved. I will not be looking to turn this into a quasi retail. It's never going to happen. Our loan officers will have choice that keeps us accountable nonstop along the way to make sure that they have the best environment possible.
So listen, y'all, I want to get this. There we go. I want to get this wrapped up here. Any closing remarks, closing thoughts before we get our people going here today? Casa, let's start with you.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is just like, just taking a step back for some people out there that, have a preconceived notion of who I am, who Mike is. I don't think people really have been paying attention to some of the transformational things that we've been doing in our personal lives and within our businesses as well over the last couple of years. I think they painted a picture. It's like, what do they call that? Like, it's like Casa Kortas derangement syndrome. It's that kind of situation where they had a vision of us and they're not open-minded to any evolution. So for those people, I think, watch this interview. Let's have a conversation. Let's connect. Let's speak about, where we're at today. And that doesn't even have to be about you joining NEXA. It could just be a relationship call. Setting that aside, I think the biggest thing is like, this is super exciting for us. We're pumped up about it. We feel like this is the best platform to grow for our loan originators. And, we're just getting started. So we're super excited about it. Anybody wants to talk about it, please feel free to reach out.
Yeah, and if anybody thinks that Anthony didn't do his research on which the best platform is, I mean, think about that for a minute. He has access to every single platform out there. This guy was the leader of all the brokers, right? He founded AIM, so he knows them all. He knows all the platforms out there. For anybody who thinks that he didn't do his research, consider that and ask him why. Why did he make that decision? But it is, and it's just so much about the loan officers. And I got to speak on the transitioning that Anthony mentioned there. If you blocked me 3 or 4 years ago, and now you're seeing me here through the podcast, then just unblock me and talk to me. You're going to meet me, right? Come to a convention. You're going to find I'm probably not what you think at the end of the day, because anybody who talks so terribly of me has not met me, is the reality. And so I just encourage you, like I can make adjustments in my life. I went through some things. I dropped off the ego. I can get rid of those things too. Anthony did it the same thing. He did it before I did it. And so I'm grateful for the both of us coming together on this, because that conversation is important. I don't want any more fighting in my life. I'm done with all that stuff. So I've been through it. I'm not that guy. Anthony's not that guy. We want to build relationships with people, understand that other people have a different perspective, and respect that perspective, and have an open dialogue with folks. And so we encourage all of our loan officers at both sides, when somebody's talking negatively, have an open dialogue, ask them an open-ended question, respect their perspective, and ask those, and you'll be able to engage people and create relationships. And even if they don't, not always about joining the organizations, like Anthony said, it's about creating a relationship and a dialogue for a future opportunity. They're interested in some other thing that we could work together on one day. So
I love that. Frazier, you have something on your mind here, and then I'll wrap us up.
No, I think, I a while ago I posted about how there's a lot of people behind the scenes. We all may not be working together, meaning like we're not talking every single day about what we're doing, but we're all trying to fulfill the same mission, and that's to make the broker channel the best it can be, right? To make every originator given the best possible position to find the success for them. And I think it's a long time coming, but I also think this is probably the greatest opportunity ever in this industry to build something, to change the mindset, to do new, and it's not going to be easy. You're going to get a lot of haters. You're going to get a lot of people that say this and that, but they're living in a construct that just does not exist anymore. And unfortunately, let me tell you that if everything that this industry did was so great and was so successful, why are we here, right? Why are we doing this stuff? No, there's always a chance to evolve, always a chance to get better. And ultimately, at the end of the day, we need to kind of put feelings aside for whatever that happens to be. They could still, continue to whine and complain just because we say, hey, we like to be the best, right? Whatever that happens to be. But at the end of the day, it's just watch the actions, watch what gets built, and watch what impact we not only create with each other and the originators that have come to come to us to help them be the best, but the impact they make with their families. And I know, just knowing all three of you like I do, I know that's a conversation, and people don't know, to Mike's credit, like those are conversations that happen when the cameras aren't on, when they're not being interviewed. But that is as like, how do we impact people, their families, and be responsible for those that decided to follow us?
Thank you. Spot on. Y'all, I'm gonna leave it with this for all of you. So I was in the retail space for about 6.5 years at Quicken Loans, Rocket, and I was there at a high level. And the one thing I want to tell y'all is when calls would come in the door and I had a goal to hit and I had a number to get to, I want you to know that if the client said I'm talking to a broker, I didn't care. My job was to win that deal at all costs. And right now what we're seeing is retail trying to swoop in and gain more market share. Matter of fact, going to certain events, that's literally what they're talking about, is how to gain more market share back from the broker channel. I've heard it. I've spoken to people directly, and they've heard it live. Obviously, Mike Kortas being one of those people. That is something that is a real thing. And this isn't us versus retail or whatever it might be. This is simply asking you to actually have a conversation. If you are in the retail space, have a conversation. Don't miss out on opportunity because your leader says the grass isn't greener. I used to tell my people that all the time too. I used to say, oh no, don't do it. Here's what happens. They'll bait and switch you. That is what I was taught to teach, unfortunately, but there is a lot of opportunity. And I'm going to leave this with this quote here. We're going to wrap this up. All of us are sinners, but we only choose to judge those that sin with the sins that we're uncomfortable with. So y'all, take care of yourselves. Until next time, adios.
Come to Fuse.